Malaysia ready to work with US to bring peace to Gaza. Putin advocates for stronger Russia-Central Asia trade ties. Hello, good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. My name is Darryl Baptist and you're watching World Today. Malaysia has welcomed the Gaza ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel, saying it stands ready to work with the United States and the international community to help bring lasting peace to the region. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry said Malaysia supports efforts to establish an independent and sovereign state of Palestine based on pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Putrajaya also expressed appreciation to US President Donald Trump for his leadership in brokering the comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. It also acknowledged the roles of Egypt, Qatar and Turkey in facilitating the deal. The ministry said the agreement marks an important step towards ending the massacre and starvation in Gaza. The move will ensure the withdrawal of Israeli forces, rebuilding the territory and realizing Palestinians' right to self-determination. Trump's 20-point peace plan, unveiled late last month, includes a ceasefire, the release of Israeli hostages and the disarmament of Hamas. According to reports, indirect talks between Israel and Hamas have been ongoing in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh since October last year. Israeli attacks have killed nearly 67,200 Palestinians, most of them women and children. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has hailed the Gaza ceasefire as a historic moment, expressing hope for lasting peace with Israel after months of conflict. In a rare interview with Israel's Channel 12, Abbas said the end of bloodshed in Gaza, the new West Bank and East Jerusalem marks a new chance for peace, stability and security between Palestinians and Israelis. Abbas also confirmed that reforms demanded under US President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan are already underway, covering education, economy, health and security. He said changes include adjustments to payments made to families of Palestinians killed or jailed by Israel, a scheme long criticized by Washington and Tel Aviv. Abbas added that some reforms are complete and others ongoing to strengthen the Palestinian Authority's credibility and governance. Trump has urged Abbas to follow through with reforms as a condition for renewed international support and a pathway towards Palestinian statehood. According to Trump's 20-point plan, while Gaza's redevelopment advances and when the Palestinian Authority reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Arab countries have also welcomed the Gaza ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, describing it as a vital step toward ending 2 years of war in the territory. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry said it supports the first phase of the deal based on US President Donald Trump's peace plan and called for its full implementation. Jordan's foreign minister Ayman Safadi also commended the diplomatic efforts of Egypt, Qatar, the United States and Turkey, urging all sides to uphold the agreement to ensure lasting peace. The United Arab Emirates echoed the sentiment, praising Washington and regional mediators and urged renewed commitment toward a comprehensive political process that could lead to a two-state solution. Meanwhile, Gulf Cooperation Council Secretary General Jassim al-Budaiwi hailed the deal as a new hope for easing the suffering of Gazan civilians and ensuring the safe flow of humanitarian aid, including food and medical supplies. The agreement marks the first tangible progress under Trump's comprehensive plan plan to end the Gaza conflict, seen as a key step towards stability in the region. UN Relief Chief Tom Fletcher on Thursday reiterated that his agency has a detailed humanitarian plan ready to deliver aid across the Gaza Strip after a ceasefire deal was reached, warning that funding and access remain critical. Saying that US President Donald Trump's ceasefire plan must be the basis for life-saving work throughout the region and for saving tens of thousands of lives. Fletcher indicated that all parties involved must seize this moment with collective will, with determination and with generosity, as there must be no backsliding on the agreements that have been made. Fletcher said UN teams have pre-positioned 170,000 metric tons of food, medicine and other supplies to begin immediate delivery.
So here is what we plan to deliver in the first 60 days of the ceasefire. We will aim to increase the pipeline of supplies to hundreds of trucks every day. Food, we will scale up the provision of food across Gaza to reach 2.1 million people who need food aid and around 500,000 people who need nutrition. Famine must be reverted in areas where it has taken hold and prevented in others.
He also said the UN will be supporting bakeries and community kitchens, provide cash for 200,000 families, and work to restore livelihoods for herders and fishers. Indonesia will not issue visas to Israeli athletes seeking to take part in the 2025 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships, due to be held in Jakarta from the 19th to the 25th of October, according to Minister for Political, Legal and Security Affairs, Yusril Ishar Mahendra, said the decision was in line with President Prabowo Subianto's long-standing stance on Israel and Palestine. Indonesia remains firm in its position of not engaging in any contact with Israel until the country recognizes the existence of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state. Jakarta governor earlier urged organizers to evaluate carefully before inviting Israeli participants, warning that their presence could spark anger among Indonesians, the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation. Major Islamic organizations have also voiced opposition, saying the move would contradict Indonesia's principles of justice and independence. In other news, Ukraine said that Russia had launched a massive attack on the capital Kyiv, triggering power cuts, as a minister warned that Moscow was also striking hard at the national energy grid. The capital of the country is under an enemy ballistic missile attack and a massive attack by the enemy strike drones. Kyiv heard several powerful explosions in the city and experienced power outages at their homes in different districts of the capital. The Ukrainian energy minister said Russian forces were inflicting a massive strike on the grid. Russia also hit the southeastern region of Zaporizhia and killed a 7-year-old child. Ukraine has stepped up its own drone and missile strikes on Russian territory in response. Authorities in the German federal state of Bavaria have taken a significant step toward empowering police to shoot down unidentified drones. The move comes as Europe faces a surge in mysterious drone sightings across several countries, heightening concerns over airspace, security, and possible foreign interference. The Bavarian cabinet approved the law which grants local police the authority to destroy drones if deemed necessary to ensure public safety. The decision also follows multiple drone sightings that disrupted air traffic at Munich International Airport earlier this month. The growing frequency of such incidents has intensified fears that Russia could be probing European defences or testing response times amid escalating tensions with NATO. Under the proposed legislation, a new drone competence and defence centre will be established for the Bavarian police in Erding, a city located close to Munich International Airport. In recent weeks, Oslo Airport in Norway and Copenhagen Airport in Denmark were also temporarily shut down due to similar drone sightings. US President Donald Trump suggested that the NATO alliance should weigh throwing Spain out of its membership ranks over a dispute about the Western European nations' lagging military spending. Members of the US-backed security alliance agreed in June to sharply increase their military spending to 5% of gross domestic product, delivering on major priority for Trump, who wants Europeans to spend more on their own defense.
With Finland and with NATO, we have a very good relationship. As you know, I requested that they pay 5%, not 2%. And most people thought that was not going to happen, and it happened virtually unanimously. We had one laggard. It was Spain. Spain. You have to call them and find why are they a laggard, and they're doing well too. You know, the funny thing, because of a lot of the things we've done, they're doing fine. They have no excuse not to do this, but that's all right.
Meanwhile, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said at the time that he would not commit to the 5% target, calling it incompatible with their welfare state and world vision. At an Oval Office meeting with the leader of NATO's second newest member, Finnish President, Trump said European leaders need to prevail upon Spain to boost its commitments to the alliance. The United Kingdom and India have signed a major £350 million defence contract to supply the Indian Army with lightweight multi-role missiles. This underscoring a rapidly strengthening military and economic partnership between the two nations. The announcement coincided with British Prime Minister's visit to Mumbai, where he met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to promote bilateral trade and defence cooperation following their recent trade agreement. According to the British government, the missiles will be manufactured by Thales in Northern Ireland, a factory currently supplying similar weapons to Ukraine. The contract is expected to secure 700 jobs and serve as the foundation for a broader complex weapons partnership under negotiation between London and New Delhi. In addition, both sides signed the next phase of a £250 million agreement for electric-powered engines for naval ships, marking another milestone in their defence collaboration. For India, the agreement enhances its military modernisation efforts and aligns with its broader strategy of diversifying defence imports. A bloc of opposition lawmakers in Peru presented a fresh motion to remove President Dina Boluarte, one of the world's most unpopular leaders, from office. The proposal is the newest in a line of motions that haven't worked out so far, and it arrives just as the South American country gets ready for elections next April. The motion, which seeks to remove Boluarte for permanent moral incapacity, was signed by at least 34 lawmakers from various parties. At least 52 must approve it in an upcoming plenary session of Congress before it can be debated in a separate session, which will decide whether or not it can proceed. Boluarte came to power in December 2022 as her predecessor, President Pedro Castillo, under whom she had served as vice president, was ousted and arrested after he attempted to dissolve Congress. Castillo's removal was met with months of widespread deadly protests, particularly in rural Andean and indigenous communities, and rights groups have accused Boluarte's government of using excessive force to repress the protests. She also became embroiled in allegations of illicit enrichment involving undeclared assets and Rolex watches. In July, she decided to double her salary. Peru has had 6 presidents since 2018, and 4 former leaders are currently behind bars. Up next, Malaysia-China direct flights set to rise ahead of Visit Malaysia 2026. President Vladimir Putin has called on Central Asian leaders to expand trade ties with Russia. This is as Moscow works to restore its influence in a region increasingly courted by China. Speaking at a summit in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, Putin said Russia's trade with Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan and Tajikistan totaled over $45 billion last year. It was described as a good result, but still far below its trade with Belarus. He said the figures show strong potential for growth in economic cooperation. Once ruled from Moscow under the Soviet Union, the 5 nations remain closely linked to Russia through trade and migrant labor. Moscow's standing has waned amid the war in Ukraine and China's expanding presence. A joint communique from the summit said both sides agreed to strengthen strategic partnerships, improve transport links, and boost cooperation on security, migration, and counter-terrorism. Putin arrived in Dushanbe on the 8th of October for talks with Tajik President Emomali Rahmon ahead of the Central Asia, Russia, and CIS summits. Direct flights between Malaysia and China are expected to increase further to meet strong travel demand following the mutual visa exemption agreement that took effect in July. Malaysian ambassador to China, Datuk Norman Muhammad, said the move has significantly boosted people-to-people ties and will serve as a major catalyst for Visit Malaysia Year 2026. Speaking at the launch of the Flavour of Malaysia promotion at Grand Hyatt, Beijing, he revealed that Chinese tourists' arrivals to Malaysia surged by 123% in 2024 compared to the previous year. He said the growth is supported by 465 weekly flights connecting 27 cities across both countries, up from 357 before the pandemic. He added that Malaysia's diverse cuisine, from Malay, Chinese and Indian to Sabahan and Sarawakian flavours, showcases the nation's cultural harmony. The Flavour of Malaysia promotion, supported by the Malaysian Embassy and featuring chefs from Grand Hyatt Kuala Lumpur, runs until the 30th of October, offering authentic Malaysian dishes for lunch and dinner in Beijing. Meanwhile, the United States is moving to ban Chinese airlines from using Russian airspace on routes to and from America, a move aimed at leveling what Washington calls an unfair advantage. U.S. carriers have long complained that Chinese airlines cut flight time and fuel costs by flying over Russia. The route has been closed to American jets since Moscow banned them in retaliation for sanctions after its invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. Transportation Department said the imbalance has become a significant competitive factor and wants to prohibit Chinese overflights as early as November. Chinese carriers have 2 days to respond to the proposal. The ban could affect Air China, China Eastern, China Southern and Xiamen Airlines. The move comes amid broader U.S.-China tensions, even as Boeing seeks a major aircraft deal with Beijing, and Presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping are expected to meet in South Korea at the end of October. Before the pandemic, each side operated more than 150 weekly flights. Today, that number remains limited as both governments weigh new restrictions tied to airspace access and trade friction. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says he has spoken with US President Donald Trump to review progress in ongoing trade negotiations as both sides work to ease tensions over new tariffs. Modi said the two leaders agreed to stay in close touch over the coming weeks, following what he described as good progress in talks. Indian officials confirmed that another round of negotiations will take place soon, either in Washington or New Delhi. Trump administration recently imposed a 50% tariff on most Indian exports, one of the highest for any U.S. trading partner. The move has hit labor-intensive industries such as textiles, gems and jewelry, and seafood exports. To cushion the blow, Modi's government last month introduced sweeping tax cuts on consumer goods and vehicles, its biggest overhaul since 2017, while maintaining heavy investment in infrastructure. The U.S. remains India's largest export market, accounting for about 20% of total shipments. The latest tariffs cover roughly 3/4 of all Indian goods sold to America. Coming up, Harimau Malaya roar back in style amid FIFA storm. But before that story, national shuttlers Chen Tang-ji and To Yi-wei received a 460,000 ringgit windfall following their feat in capturing the mixed doubles title at the 2025 World Badminton Championships on the 31st of August. The Badminton Association of Malaysia, or BAM, contributed 300,000 ringgit towards the reward, with Yonex chipping in 100,000 ringgit and Affin 60,000 ringgit as a symbol of appreciation towards the pair's historic success, which elevated Malaysia's name on the world stage. Their success ended nearly 2 decades of waiting, as Malaysia's previous best achievement in mixed doubles was when Koo Kian Kiet, Wong Pei TT reached the semi-finals at the 2006 edition in Madrid, Spain. National mixed doubles coach Nova Widianto also received 15,000 ringgit from BAM for his role in grooming the pair into world champions, while 6 national mixed team support staff were also rewarded with a total of 18,000 ringgit for their behind-the-scenes contributions. Meanwhile, national women's doubles pair Pearly Tan and M. Tina also received a total of 192,500 ringgit reward in appreciation of their silver medal feat at the World Meet. Of the total, BAM forked out 112,500 ringgit, while Yonex and Affin contributed 50,000 ringgit and 30,000 ringgit respectively. Still on badminton, Pearly Tan and M. Tina underlined their title credentials after cruising into the women's doubles quarterfinals of the Arctic Open in Vantaa, Finland on Thursday. The world number 2 were in ruthless form as they crushed Indonesia's Fabriana Dwi Puji Kusuma and Melissa Trias Puspitasari 21-17, 21-13 at Energy Arena, extending their winning streak against the world number 27 to 3 matches this season. The result kept the Malaysians firmly on track to defend their runners-up points from last year's edition, where they reached the final before falling to China's world number 1, Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning. In today's quarterfinals, Pearly and Tina are set to face Margot Lambert and Camille Pognant of France. Meanwhile, Malaysia's mixed doubles pair, Goh Sun Huat and Lai Siobhan Jamie, also marched into the quarterfinals after taking only 19 minutes to demolish the Italy-England combination of Innocenzo Santoro and Karen Feng Yun Kiao with a 21-2, 21-5 win. Awaiting Sun Huat and Siobhan in the quarterfinals are Dechapol Puavaranukroh and Supisara Piausampran of Thailand, after the tournament's third seeds defeated Andre Kral and Teresa Swabikova of the Czech Republic 21-15, 21-16. Moving on to football, the player registration issue that has hit the Football Association of Malaysia, or FAM, did not affect the national squad's morale as they defeated Laos 3-0 in their third match of Group F in the 2027 AFC Asian Cup qualifiers in Vientiane last night. The 3 goals for the Harimau Malaya squad was scored by Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanapi, captain Dion Cools, and substitute Muhammad Faisal Abdul Halim in the second half, securing Malaysia's third consecutive victory. In the clash at the new Laos National Stadium, Malaysia nonetheless started with an energetic display and made several dangerous attempts on the opponent's goal early on. The long-awaited goal finally arrived when a low drive from Arif Aiman successfully beat goalkeeper Koplok Patib, opening the scoring for the national team in the 53rd minute. As the Laotian defence discipline began to wane, Cools doubled the lead, firing in his second goal of this qualifying campaign to strengthen Malaysia's position in the 68th minute. Substitute winger Faisal Abdul Halim completed Malaysia's 3-0 victory by also getting his name on the score sheet well into the second half of stoppage time. The national team will host Laos in the return leg at the National Stadium, Bukit Jalil, next Tuesday. After 3 matches, Malaysia now leads Group F with 9 points, followed by Vietnam in second place with 6 points, Laos in third with 3 points, and Nepal at the bottom without any points.
Stemmed from the first attempt, which was unsuccessful.
And that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Malaysia ready to work with US to bring peace to Gaza. Till then, my name is Darryl Baptist, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Stay united, stay blessed, Malaysia. Thank you for watching.